Daisy girl, huh? Yeah, that's a good girl, huh? Good girl, honey. Yeah, that's a good Daisy. Oh yeah, honey. That's my good girl. Oh yeah, that's Daisy looking out there. Oh yeah, that's the good girl. Hey Sophia, how you doing? How's it going with you? A little overcast here today. No, it got down to at least 20 last night. Hey Dolly, how you doing? Hey James. Hey Paul, how are you? Oh, thank you. Hey Esmer, how's it going? Hey Jarrett, where you been? You still over there in Clare? Hey Heidi. You know, I haven't been down there in about 2 months, Brandon. I'm not sure. I do get emails from people that said they see her and she seems to be doing okay. But you know, that's a tough lifestyle, no matter what. Hey Carmen, how you doing? You know, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that you don't see. Communication with people, people that dropping things off, that kind of thing. Hey, how you doing? Oh, are ya? Oh, not a good signal. Yeah, welcome to up north. No, I haven't heard from Becky. That's how it is with Becky. I mean, I'll hear for her every day in a row for a week, and then won't hear for her for 4 months. What's that, Esmer? I've been going to Tim Hortons since March. I go to this place in the bank parking lot now. A lot, I like it a lot better. It's really good coffee. Yeah, oh yeah, you better believe it, right there. That's my girl. She just got her biscuit. That's my Daisy. Daisy's a good traveling companion. Oh yeah, I hardly ever get over in that area, to tell you the truth. I don't know why. Even since I've lived up there, I mean, I'm gonna do some photography today. I think maybe I got a lot to do in my house, so maybe not. Depends. There's Daisy. Yeah, they give her a bone at the coffee shop. Hey Neff, how you doing? That's a Daisy girl. Oh yeah, she loves looking out the window. No kidding, Jarrett. Wow. Where was I the other day? I was up near up off Fairview, just before you cut over to Rose City, and I see there's a private snowmobile club that has a brand new giant John Deere tractor. Maybe somebody does it for them. I can't imagine they could afford that with a trail grooming apparatus in the back. You went the wrong way, Amy. Clint's got his good points. I think it does. Nah, she's hanging in there, Marguerite. You know, Jiro and Maddie are on a lot, and I always ask them about her. Oh, are they really? Yeah, it's not cool. I've noticed that in Detroit, you know, you'll see tents up and you'll see areas where people are sleeping in them and people will donate them, that kind of deal. What kills those people that are staying out in tents is when they have a convention or some kind of big meeting place that goes on in the city, because they don't want everybody flying in and going back saying, you wouldn't have believed all the tents I saw in downtown Detroit. They should be doing more for those people. So a lot of times when these areas are cleared out, it's because of the appearance. And once this, whatever it is they have, goes away and it happens, people will slowly come back and have tents again. Oh, okay, Todd. Hey, Justin. How you doing? Hey, Lisa. All right, good luck with the house, Jarrett. Whatever happened to that place down in Monroe? Did you finish that off? Yeah, they do, Neff, yeah. Hey, Mark, how you doing? You too, Lisa. The problem they've had in Michigan, at least up, well, everywhere really, but on both sides of the state, is this erosion and this high water. I mean, it's super expensive to get these seawalls and bring in rock. I mean, it's really devastating. You too, Lisa. Hey, Andy, how you doing? Yeah, that happens here too, Neff. Yep, sure does. Oh, okay, Jarrett. I'm sorry about that. Yeah. Hey, Justin. Hey, Graphic, how you doing? How's your day going down there? It's a daisy cam. I really don't know how this new hospital's doing. Well, it's it's an old hospital, but a hospital in a new building. That's the old Kmart. I stopped in both Barnes and Noble the other day. One in Midland, and then the other one in uh, Saginaw. And I tell you, there was nobody in them. It's crazy. It's a tough year for people. I don't talk to Jamie anymore. I don't know what she's up to. Yeah, I got a buddy of mine's a doctor, just got that damn COVID. Justin, where do you live? I don't know if she sounds sketchy. I just don't talk to her anymore. Tassie's good. Isn't that crazy, Mark? Yeah, you got to give them an A plus. Actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because I may go down to the other side of those. You know, I was on the south side of the river. I could go down to Gladwin today, and actually, it's technically Beaverton, but there's really not much to see there. But maybe check and see how they're doing. Yeah, that's probably a good idea, Daisy. I'm not a big GoPro fan. I fooled around with them. I had one for a while and gave it to a buddy of mine. I just didn't really like it that much. I mean, once you underwater or whatever you do with it, it's just, You know, a small camera with a small sensor, and they overheat a lot. Hey, Penny. I like The Shining and No Country for Old Men, two of them. Good, Karina. How you doing? Hey, Zakia. How you doing? Yeah, I love those movies. I was looking, it just popped up on my phone last night, the new restrictions with this COVID stuff, and I guess, I don't go to theaters anyway, but I guess they've been shut down, and I see they're going to be shut down for this extension. They've already been getting a piece of pie whittled away with, all sorts of ways to watch movies now. I don't know how the hell you'd sell one of those businesses. No, you're right, Andy. No, I haven't been going up there lately because the signal strength got so crappy. It got to where it was like buffering the whole time I was up there, so I quit going there. Karina, I don't know what he's up to. Him and his girlfriend were pretty much only panhandling, and they were staying closer down to downtown Detroit. So to answer your question, no, I have not. Yeah, December 11th. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, man. I'm glad you said that to me because she did say the 11th. No, I wasn't planning on it, but I will mark that down, go down to Sanford. Yeah, thank you. That's a good idea. What's today, like the 8th or something like that? I bet I flew people up to Harbor Springs back in the 80s 300 times. They would fly them up to Harbor Springs. It was always kind of like a daughter was getting out of college and her parents were already up there, that kind of thing. I never spent much time there, but I've been in and out of the airport quite a bit. Yeah, I know where it's at. Yep. I know you guys think I'm joking, but actually I would rather live in a trailer park than to live in Traverse City or Harbor Springs. I've been around long enough to know. I mean, not that I couldn't have bad neighbors there, but I'll take my chances. Oh, the 8th. Thank you, Michael. Hey, Tammy. No, I got plenty of money to buy a phone dimmer. I'm just not really into it. And a phone wouldn't help my problem. It's more of a signal issue. Oh, thank you. I took my Toyota van out of the garage yesterday, which I was dreading because it's got an iffy battery, and I put a trickle charger on it, and after a day it still wouldn't start. But yesterday it started right up, and I got my snow tires. Actually, I got my snow tires in the back right here. I used that green slime for this leaky tire, but it's low this morning. Not as low, but so I'm trying to hold off on these tires because I'm just going to throw them away when I put my snow tires on, and then just start over in the spring. Oh, Foot Locker? Oh, okay. I like, I was thinking, I still am mulling around an internet radio station. But I like, and that way you could listen to the other end of a conversation, like a typical interview like Lacey the other night. But I don't want to get like too formal. That's why I like just like run and gun, turn it on, get a coffee, turn it off. If I've got to stick to a schedule and it's just going to turn into just like bullshit that's already out there, I just don't think I like it very much. I mean, anybody that, watches the internet knows that I don't do a hell of a lot of editing. The only editing I do is to cancel out road noise, because this is an old van that makes a lot of noise. Now, if the windows are down and I'm driving around like I did when I was out west, I don't mind it. Most people seem to like no music. But I'm telling you, if I didn't put music over some of those driving videos, like the ones that I did the other day up north, you say you'd rather not have music, but I'm telling you, it'd drive you crazy. It takes twice as long for me to put music over something. It's a pain in the ass, but I do it because it'd be worthless without it. All right, Penny, have a good day. Hey, Ray. Yeah, Daisy does like car rides. I will say that, though, I don't think she likes them as much as some of my other dogs. She likes, like today, we'll go out and I'll let her run around. She likes that. But these trips to Montana and Florida, and I don't think she likes these long hauls. You know, I've really never had any scariest encounters, to tell you the truth. You would think it'd be like that, but it's not really. You know, the fact of the matter is people don't go around killing people and beating them up for no reason. So even though I'm in neighborhoods that are high crime, I'm uninvolved in the crime. Most of those, or a lot of those, are dope deals gone bad. You know, crazy gangs, that kind of thing. And nobody's going to just come over and kill me for the hell of it. So I really haven't had any scary times, to tell you the truth. I haven't. Daisy had a scary time. I lost her rawhide one time under the seat. Oh, Newego. Okay, yeah, I don't get over there too much, you know. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Karina. Oh, God, don't send me any cards, man. You know, I've never been like that. I mean, the way I was brought up and stuff, none of that stuff ever meant anything to me, to tell you the truth. And to be honest with you, in relationships I had, those were always kind of problems, man. That, you know, my birthday or coming up or Christmas, it's like, oh no, man. I guess I can just summarize it by saying I was just never comfortable around those days, and when I'm by myself, it's just another other day, which I'm fine with. You know, you learn a lot as you get older. Actually, I would say I'm at the 50-yard line now between older and what I've learned, and there's a time when you wish you weren't older, but you haven't learned as much. I would say right now it's 50-50 for me. I really have figured out a lot of things that took this long to figure out. Hell, if I'd have figured them out in my 20s or 30s. It doesn't work that way, though. But I'm not a guy that, like, gets sad around the holidays or anything like that. I am glad to get them over with, but basically a guy like me, with COVID and the holidays, it's a killer because I don't get my 93 seconds of socialization, which, like, I talked to the coffee lady this morning for 5 minutes. She's going to Florida pretty soon, and we were talking about dogs. That's it for me for a day or two. That's fine. But if I get cut off like that, and there's nobody to talk to for 90 seconds every other day, I'm in huge trouble. Actually, the men do get stuff, you know. I'll be 65. Yeah. I'll be 65. Yeah. Yeah. So I've got lots to do in my house, you know. I've been a bunch of shit. I got a lot done yesterday. Hopefully to get a lot done today. If I don't piss away the whole day doing photos. But anyway, I was talking about that internet radio station, which I'd like to do so I could interview different people. But I looked at podcasts, and man, it's just too formal for me. I don't really mind the equipment and that kind of stuff. But I don't want to get that formal. I wish I could just go on, do like an internet radio station for an hour or two. Really what interests me is doing a late night talk show in the winter. From like 11 o'clock till 2 or 3 in the morning. That's my kind of style. Cold winter nights. Actually, I'm still married. No, I don't have any interest in a girlfriend at all, to be honest with you. It doesn't really even interest me. You know, you've probably heard me talk before. I think the whole thing is hormone based. Now that I'm an old guy and that part of me is like gone, there's just no reason to have a girlfriend. I know it sounds terrible, but I just don't have that. Like, if you're not hungry, you're not looking for a place to go out to eat. And I'm not a lonely guy, thank God, because I think that's what gets a lot of older people in relationships. So I'm lucky that way. Oh, wow, Andy. Sorry about that. I just had a buddy of mine call me yesterday. I got 2 phone calls, one Sunday and one Monday, on suicides. One buddy of mine from Georgia, he was going down to identify the body in Florida. Cousin of his shot himself. And another buddy of mine called me, and his wife's boss's father-in-law. Now, this is the way it was described to me. Good Christian guy, not that that has anything to do with it. Happy, looking forward to the holidays, just got over COVID. He came home after church Sunday and put one between his eyes. Hey, Pam. Yeah. But I do know, I mean, I am sympathetic to people that bothers. I try and like get them a plant or buy them a dinner or something. I mean, I appreciate people that do get lonely, even though I don't. Yeah, with me, even as a kid, they were like a super pain in the ass. I mean, I had crazy parents, alcoholics. Everything was like conflict and screaming and arguments, and the holidays never meant anything. It was not like TV, like where everybody sits around the uh, Christmas tree and smiles and exchanges gifts. Maybe I'm sure there are plenty of other people that feel that same way. But I have crossed paths with families that where it's the real deal. I mean, they're sincerely interested in getting together and enjoy each other's company. I mean, I guess that's the way it should be. But as you guys know, just drug addicted working girls, it doesn't always work out that way for people. Yeah, I mean, Daisy will only do that. I mean, Daisy's a smart dog, and uh, that only happens when I push the envelope. That's kind of what I like about her. Daisy's not going to let you abuse her or hit her. The lady that owned her before me, I watched her hit Daisy in the head when she peed on the floor. She bit her in the finger and she had to get 3 stitches. And then when the lady tried getting away from her, she bit her in the calf and she had to get 5 more. Daisy will lock down if she's got to. But the lady shouldn't have hit her. And I kind of push the envelope a little bit with that rawhide, but I know she gives you about 10 warnings, and after that, they're over. You're going to get bit. I had a buddy of mine in town that wanted to give me a bottle of wine, and Daisy, sometimes she's on the dash, sometimes she's not. And we were meeting in a restaurant, and I was always in there waiting for him. And he opened the door thinking the van was empty. And he came in, he said, "Jesus Christ, that dog of yours almost bit my fingers off." I said, "No, I didn't know you were going in there." He said, "Man, what the hell's wrong with that dog?" If you look at Daisy, you think she's just like a little foo-foo, but she can really chow down if she has to. Hey, Pauline. Oh, yeah, she's a good dog now. Hey, Danny boy, how you doing? Oh, Chicago. I lived down there for 13 years. It's so weird. I had a great time. I moved there in 98. In 99, things were really happening down there. You couldn't get a parking spot. Places were selling for more than they were listed for, that kind of thing. And that lasted right up until 9/11. And then it got shaky again in 2005, I think it was. Yeah, and then it's like, man, I'll tell you, I look up Chicago on I lived in the Dave and Buster's building. I don't know what Chicago's deals are now with shutdowns, but I don't miss that place one bit. I really don't. I know people that want me to come visit, and I'm not a visiting guy anyway. When I move out of a place, it's probably the last time you'll see me. I don't know why. It's just the way I am. But I had a great time in Chicago. I did. Super experience. I lived there for 13 years. but I don't miss it. Oh, really, Andy? Oh, wow. Wow. Hey, Johnner, how you doing? Yeah, I used to go now. I did a lot of photography in Chicago, actually. That was the pre-digital days, pretty much. Although I ended up doing a lot of digital photography. Video wasn't popular at the time, no YouTube. But Chicago was a good time. I used to stay, I don't stay up late like I used to as much. But I used to love just walking over to Navy Pier at 2, 3 in the morning. Nobody there. Down along the water between North to downtown. When I first moved there, like in the spring of '98, in the fall, it looked like, I'm not kidding you, it looked like it was a wonderful life during Christmas time. That Borders Books that was right there across from the old fire station, uh, there would be people in line for 2 hours waiting to pay. The line would go all the way out onto Michigan Avenue. It would break right there at the fire department, and then it'd take 2 hours to pay for your books at Borders. I mean, horses. I think they did away with horses and carts down there. I don't think they do that anymore because I know PETA was really on their ass. I know a girl that worked part-time at the Starbucks right around the corner from my house. And she had a bee stinger horse one day when she was doing that, and the damn thing took off with people in it, and it hit a curb and it busted one of the wheels, and they finally got it corralled, but she got I could be wrong on the dollar amount, but I thought it was a $300 ticket for not controlling the horse. And what happened is a bee bit the damn horse, stung it. Yeah. I used to love to go down. I like all those towns, Hammond, Whiting, all those small towns, Gary. I love going down around there. If you're into photography, particularly railroad yards, it's as good as it gets. Beautiful. Another thing I wonder about too is if you're familiar with Chicago, you know the Amtrak and the L, and everybody's in the commute. I just wonder what it looks like on one of those L's now. It's just like you got less people, the same people, everybody crammed in next to each other with a mask. I would think that a place like Chicago, the transmission rate would be through the ceiling, but I don't know that for sure. Well, you're going to laugh about favorite photographer, but Edward Curtis, the guy that photographed Indians, he had a brother, Ashel, and I thought his photography was fantastic. I had a lot of it, actually. I just recently sold it. You think I'd really be into photography, but I'm not. I do my own thing, and I'll go to a gallery or something sometime. That's another thing in Chicago, right? They had those photo galleries where you could go down and, view exhibits, but I bet those are dead in the water now. Yeah, I just renewed my private detective's license, and I keep threatening to work, but the fact of the matter is, I've had some pretty big detective agencies, and I sold them at the top. Whenever I got to the top, I sold them. And that's kind of what I did for my living. Actually, any money I have now, it's from doing that. It's not from lately, I'll tell you that. And all the people that working full-time as a private detective is hard to do. I marketed and I chased the work that I wanted. It didn't come to me. There was a time that I had yellow page listings in every big city in Michigan. And I can tell you over a 20-year period, I bet I didn't get 2 cases that I was interested in because people saw me in the yellow pages. I went after the work that I wanted to do. And everybody that, is my age that kind of got to know me and they were going to use me no matter what, they're retired or they died. So all the contacts I had, the attorneys, the claims adjusters, the claims managers, people that had over the years got elevated to management positions, they're all gone now. And I'm not really that motivated to do PI work that much. I just, as I said, renewed my license. I don't know why. It's just one of those stupid things you do, and because I'm not really interested in doing PI work, and I never really did much work for individuals. It was always business work. There's no money in working for Joe Blow. See you, Tanya. Hey, Lost Souls, how you doing? I mean, if you called me up and said, hey, we got this case, nobody's, we haven't had a very good job done, would you like to do work for us? I'd say, you know what, if you called me up with some really difficult case or some surveillance case and nobody could do the job right, I would say, hey, look, this is what I'll do. I'll do it, but I'm only going to charge you if I get some good results. Which is a bold statement to make as a PI, because I can't control what other people do. And let me tell you, one-man surveillance is difficult. When the FBI and the DEA and all these places do surveillance, they've got drones, helicopters, airplanes, 8 cars, people standing on the corner talking. I mean, they have a huge advantage. When you're trying to follow one car as one individual, it's tough not to get noticed. And then if you're in a big place like Chicago, either you're too far or you're too close. You're worried about losing them, or you're afraid they're going to see you. Lost Souls, you weren't feeling too good for a couple days? Oh, bad depression? Yeah, I know what that's like. Just keep experimenting with different medications. But let me tell you, surveillance is boring. Everybody thinks that, when you're looking for new help, you don't really normally consider hiring anybody with no experience, because it takes so long to get somebody up to snuff on how to do surveillance properly. Yeah, a newbie gets caught the day he's out there. There's a lot to it. What to video, what not to video, where to set up. What gets most people in trouble is they get bored and they start driving around for no reason. Sitting in neighborhoods in this day and age, especially a high crime neighborhood, you stick out like a sore thumb. There's just a lot of tricks to it. And part of it's getting lucky. Or you hope they have a neighbor that doesn't like them, and somehow they've contacted the insurance company, and the insurance company's contacted you, and it makes it a hell of a lot easier. I mean, I've got a lot of guys on film before where it's like, hey, John is out here shoveling snow. He calls the insurance company calls me. I quit whatever I'm doing, haul ass over there, pull over to the side of the road and get whatever video I can. Oh, a chemist job. Yeah, I read a lot about chemistry. Hey, if you guys, any of you guys interested in chemistry out there? If you are, I highly recommend Theodore Gray. There's an excellent TED Talk. I just watched it last night. I've got 3 of his books, and I crossed paths with his books when I was out in Indianapolis. Theodore Gray, Gray, it's spelled. He's made some interesting cards and books on the elements, and then he's got a PhD in chemistry from Illinois. Really charming, interesting, humble guy. But if you like science, God, those books are as good as it gets, and you can get them all used hardcover very reasonably, other than the latest one, which is Reactions. But he's really taken complicated organic chemistry calculations and made them fun to read, which is, I would have thought, impossible to do. Hey, Cindy. Yeah, cures for cancer is pretty daunting. Although they've come a long way. Actually, this cancer center, it's the Seton Cancer Center where I live, is got a pretty good reputation. You guys are going to think I'm crazy, which I would admit to. And don't laugh, but I'm actually considering buying an electron microscope. Because I've photographed, done microscopy before, but not with video. And you can get DIC contrast microscopes, which are pretty expensive, but a used electron microscope, I think I'd probably never leave the house. I would just do one video after another of all this cool shit. If I don't go with a used electron microscope, I think I'll get a DIC contrast microscope and probably do some video. I'm kind of up in the air about it. Oh, what kind of tumor is that, Michelle? Is it benign or malignant, or are they just keeping an eye on it, or they don't know? Yeah, Yoda, I think so too. I mean, it's super expensive, uh, but I've always kind of dreamed about something like that. Go and if you guys are into science, go on YouTube and look at DIC contrast microscopy. It is so unbelievably fascinating to me. Uh, really, it's just check that out. This just isn't a $200 compound microscope that you look through. This is like, I'd just go crazy doing videos on this. Oh, malignant. Oh my God, really, huh? So what are they doing? Are they doing any radiation or just keeping an eye on it and deciding when to go inside or what? Can you share the name of it? Oh, good. Low chemo. You got lucky. Good. Congratulations. I mean, cancer is terrible. I hope I never get it. I have had skin cancer, but it's also a very interesting, super fascinating disease. The textbook uh, definition of cancer is unregulated cell growth, which is a very crude way of describing it. But much like COVID and mutations and HIV when they came out, man, I'll tell you, it is so super interesting. This COVID, despite its detriment to society, what a super interesting disease. I mean, it's really, I do spend hours reading about this stuff. That's why my house is a mess, because I've got too many hobbies. I haven't even touched my astrophotography in a while. I've got a Questar 7 telescope. I got every science book they ever wrote. Not really, but a lot of them. And I just spend my waking hours like doing photos, or instead of like staying home. I can't sit still. Goodbye, Michael. Have a good day. Oh boy, did you get lucky, Michelle. Yeah, it's depressing, isn't it, Cindy? They said my son was conceived with a tumor. I don't understand that. You mean that he had the tumor at birth? Oh, okay, Justin, cool. Well, as you know, you get what you pay for with telescopes. I mean, there's a telescope outfit. A microscope outfit, Amscope, I think the name of it is. Most of the stuff that is junk, but they do make some higher end microscopes. But as I said, with telescopes and microscopes, as both of them, you get what you pay for. I have to laugh when I look at some of these eBay listings where they'll show like a computer screen in this $185 microscope, and it looks like there's a couple sperms swimming around there, and you're thinking, wow, that'd be great. This is exactly what I want to see. Believe me, it's not like that. Optics are complicated. That's why Nikon holds its value, because of their optics. Same with Leica. No, I haven't been to Dark Scar Park because I've been out west a lot. I've been up to Alaska, the Arctic Circle, for months on end. You see the Milky Way from a different angle up there. You're at the top of the world. It's different. So you know how it is. Once you bite that poison apple of something really great, once you go on the world's best roller coaster, you're not all that enthused about going to Cedar Point, which is why I haven't been to that park. I'm not saying anything bad about it. It's just I've seen some pretty cool stuff. What kind of skin cancer, Michelle? What kinds of skin cancers do you have? Well, with a cheap telescope, you can see big things like the moon, and you can see Jupiter, sort of. But once you look through good optics, you realize the difference. Its light gathering ability is what you pay for. Oh, that's good, Michelle. Congratulations. Yeah, that's what I want to know. Hey, Shelly, how you doing? Yeah, as long as it's not melanoma. I mean, even if it is, if you get it before it metastasizes. Yeah, I've watched the moon a lot. I mean, it's easy to watch. You got plenty of lights. I mean, there's enough reason to get a cheap telescope. You can see the moon really well. Yeah, Patricia, how you doing? I listened to about 10 of your songs last night. Yeah, I had a buddy of mine die. That's part of the reason why I left Chicago. I had a buddy of mine, strangely enough, now try not to laugh out loud, but two of my best friends have been men of the cloth, and this guy happened to be a Monsignor that I met right when I moved to Chicago. Now, I'm not a religious guy, and we got to be best friends. I mean, he really liked science, museums, and that kind of thing. Long story short, he retired, ended up screwing around for about a year. He went over to India for a while, went to a retreat out in California for a month, things he always wanted to do. Well, down in Flossmoor, a bookkeeper scammed the church out of about 800 grand. So the diocese called him and said, hey, look, would you do us a favor? Go on, Daisy, go on. Would you do us a favor? Would you go down there and straighten that church out? So he did. Took about 2 years. Bookkeeper ended up getting charged. They got rid of the priest, put him in a non-management role. And my buddy, I have a video of him uploaded on my channel. He retired again. Off for about a year. We get lunch at least once a week, sometimes twice. Talked on the phone all the time. So he called me one day and he said, hey, I'm getting these night sweats. You know anything about that? And I said, well, it could be a lot of things, but I do think you should make a doctor's appointment. So you know how this starts. You go to a family practitioner. He ends up making a referral. Long story short, fast forwarding. First they thought he had leukemia, which he didn't. And then it went to a diagnosis of small cell lung cancer. Now mind you, I'm with him through the whole deal. I'm taking him to the appointments. I'm sitting in there with the doctor, and they decide to take out half his lung, which was like a big deal to him. Ends up getting half his lung out. Continues to get chemotherapy. The cancer continues to metastasize. Fast forwarding, it gets to the point where it's this decision where you tell the doctor to level with you. Believe me, I'm with this guy in the doctor's office. So the doctor says one day, you got 6 months to live without therapy, and probably 7 months to live with. I'm not shitting you. I was sitting there when he said this. So he said, well, let me think about it. The guy that used to be the president of McDonald's America, there's different versions. There's European version, that kind of thing. He was out of McDonald's by then. He chartered us a King Air 200, got us a limousine, because I thought it was important that Frank go to either Mayo Clinic or Cleveland Clinic. Went down to Cleveland Clinic, flew down there in this private plane, and they confirmed what they had told us in Chicago. I mean, you got around 6 months to live. So, I was with him the whole time, and it just went downhill after that. Within 6 months, he died. He eventually kind of went into a coma and didn't want to go into a assisted living care facility, and stayed in a bedroom of his brothers that lived in a north suburb of Chicago. I wouldn't say that had some of me wanting to get out of Chicago. I was having some other mental problems myself, and then that happened, and I just said, I'm going to get out of here. And that's when I came to Michigan. But cancer, man, I'll tell you, it's very humbling. I mean, it's stupid to think that, life doesn't work that way. You can be a good guy, a great priest. Man, the good this guy did is ridiculous. And die of lung cancer when you would have thought you would have been entitled to some kind of reprieve and a decent life toward the end of the road, but the opposite happened to him. Super sad. Yeah. Yeah, it's a chat community, Dan. Oh, sorry, Cindy. Hey, Brian. Yeah, God, that was 9 years ago, March. Because I was still going back there even though I was living here. This sucks. Oh, man, sorry about that, Yoda. I'm glad he went fast. I mean, that's the way to go. There was a time, I had to go out of town one time for about 2 weeks. And during that 2 week period, I would take him to chemotherapy. During that 2 week period, I didn't see him because I was out of town. And I picked him up one day, and he wanted to meet me at the curb. He was trying to like stay in as good a condition as he could, and that meant getting light exercise. You know, I didn't recognize him sitting on the front porch. It had changed that much. I mean, you would think, well, how could you not recognize him? Believe me, I didn't. I thought, who's that? You know, he lived in a condo, and there were like 20 people that lived there, so anybody could have been sitting on the porch. When I pulled up, I just didn't recognize him as being him. Sucks. Hey, AJ. I mean, that's another facet of like when I'm interviewing people, and you know, I interview Lacey, and I know these girls that work in Detroit. And I would just wish there was a way that I could articulate to them how lucky they are to be in a position to get better. Other than drug addiction, you know, everything's working. They don't have cancer. They could just clean up their act and get what this guy wanted so badly, and so many other people wanted that died of terminal diseases, that would just love to have a day in the life of a person that could walk up and down Michigan Avenue to be that healthy. And that's what I'm not too hot at articulating. But you know, unless you've been in those shoes, you're going to tell a 23-year-old girl with a drug problem that's working that, you know, you don't really know what you have here and what you can do with it. They don't believe it. They're never going to really understand what I just got done saying. Yeah. Yeah, and you know, now you can take protease inhibitors, you know, like Magic Johnson kind of spearheaded the original medication for HIV. You know, there's a lot of people that are HIV positive, but what people, the thing that I find that most people aren't familiar with when you talk to them, that can get paid by Medicaid, but it's about $6,100 to taxpayers. Not complaining. But the problem is it's quite a regimen to stay on that medication for HIV. And when you get someone that's a working girl, doesn't give a shit, and it's out there just trying to get high, it's pretty daunting for them to stay on this chemical regimen like they should. Because you can be HIV positive. There's all sorts of people on YouTube that have channels that talk about it. You can actually have unprotected sex, if you can believe that. They can get the virus down to the point where they can't even measure it. But it's just the discipline of staying on that medication. It's tough. And I'll tell you another one like that too. It's unrelated, but organ transplants. I mean, the hospitals and these facilities have a way of marketing it to you like, well, this guy got a new heart, this guy got new kidneys, this guy got a new liver. That's all great, super, fantastic. Whatever the reason that you needed these new organs, I'm glad it worked for you. What they really don't let you know, because it kind of takes away of a fantastic story, is the drug regimen you have to be on, anti-rejection drugs, while you're with these new organs. I mean, if you ever look at the pills somebody takes that got a new liver, I mean, it sounds terrible. And I'm sure if it came down to looking the Grim Reaper in the eye, it'd be the biggest chicken shit in the world. But I think immediately, God, I'd rather be dead than have to go through that. Well, when you're looking at dead right in the eyes, it's easy. I don't think you'd say that. I don't know of anybody that has yet. I mean, it must take 20 minutes to swallow this many pills every day. I mean, my opinion I think like David Crosby, the notion that this guy is still alive is mind-boggling. So even a guy like that, I think when he got that wake-up call about, look, you got a new liver, uh, you're going to need to do this, he obviously does it. I think he's, what, 80 years old now? And that's a long way from this careless, partying, youthful attitude of my time's up, my time's up. Another thing, too, I don't know if you know anybody that gets dialysis. Huge pain in the ass. I mean, it's an absolute problem. Well, he shouldn't have thought you had HIV based on a cough. Yeah, you see what I mean, Yoda? Yeah. Yeah, HIV is, believe it or not, it's hard to contract. It's not that easy. Oh, thank you, Yoda. Hepatitis is no walk in the park either. They're seeing more and more hepatitis is off the charts in all these big cities. Endocarditis, myocarditis, all sorts of heart issues you have as a result of shooting heroin with dirty needles. That's another one that people want to argue about. The $50,000 question is, do you think that there should be needle exchange places providing drug-addicted people clean needles? I say yes. And the reason I say yes is because society ends up footing the bill for this one way or the other. So you might as well get it out of the way ahead of time. If you look at interferon treatments, I know they were $60,000 20 years ago. I don't know what they are now to try and get rid of hepatitis. I just as soon pay for new needles. First of all, I wouldn't want to see anybody go through that. Second of all, if clean needles are going to stop the spread of one person doing it and another person, it doesn't make any sense. It's apples and oranges. I mean, absolutely. But here's another caveat to the whole thing is, there's these needle exchange places that I think they do a great service. I think it's a great idea. I think it's right up there with handing out rubbers. It's a good idea. Any way you argue it, financially. Now, morally, if you're a Catholic, it's a problem. But I think it's the way to go. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm all for it. Here's the funny thing, though, is like, you could be working for a needle exchange place as a volunteer. You could be driving down the street, a cop pulls you over, says, what are you doing down here? It's like, well, I'm down here handing out free needles. It's like, are you a doctor? No. You a nurse? No. Are those needles on the seat of your car? Yep. You can actually get charged with drug paraphernalia if you're not able to demonstrate that you're, let's say, a diabetic. To a lay person, if you get caught with needles in the car anywhere, you could get charged and those charges could stick. No shit. Yeah, I'm getting coffee, yep. The reason the needle trucks don't come to you, Sharon, is because there's specific grants written for geographic areas, zip codes. And they're trying to get the biggest bang for their buck. So the places that they go now are handing out plenty of needles. But what happens is they don't want to, let's say, hand out needles all day right up to Wyoming and Michigan Avenue and then drive all the way to Inkster or Dearborn Heights, taking that time and gas and labor and whatever, because these people are paid, like the nurses and stuff, to hand out 5 or 6 needles. I mean, that's the cold reality of economics even amongst people that need these services. So note to self, if you're going to be a heroin addict and you want clean needles, you're better off doing it in a big giant city where there's more federal funding that allows programs like this to flourish. Hey, Jim. Oh, you haven't used needles here? Good for you. Yeah. You know, I was surprised, but there are a fair number of the interviewed that you've watched the interviews that snort heroin. They've never used a needle. Yeah, health class. Sorry about that. It would be nice if they could mail them. I agree with you. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I think you should be able to go into... I mean, who's shitting who on this, man? I mean, I think you should be able to go into any local drugstore. Now, I've got a book on this. I haven't read it yet, but I will read it around the holidays. It's The Politics of Narcan. There's a lot of political interest in this. If you've got some right-wing Christian that's a congressman or a senator, or they're instrumental in health care where you live, you're going to have a big-ass problem getting their support to hand out needles or rubbers. See, so this is why it's important. Now you know why when we come up to elections, even on a local level, everybody's wanting to know, what's your religion? How do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? On the surface, it seems like, well, that's not anybody's business. I can pray to whoever I feel like. Allah, Jesus, God, paper bag, Tom Reed, chosen one. It's my choice. But it gives you a glimpse into where these people are coming from. If you're a heroin addict and you've got a right-wing Baptist that's going to be making the health decisions about handing out rubbers and needles, you probably don't want to vote for them. See what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that. But these questions and answers and these bios that these politicians come up with, that's your first glimpse at where these people are coming from. There's always going to be some kind of bias. Look at the Supreme Court, for God's sakes. If this was all 100% legit and justice was truly blind, why do you have the partisan interest in trying to get people appointed to the Supreme Court by a sitting president? I'll tell you why. Because it's the decisions they make. That's why. These people are there till the day they die. Look at Ruth Bader Ginsburg. What was she, like 200 years old when she finally kicked the bucket? So this is huge. When you look at the ideology of these people, once they're sitting Supreme Court justices, they already know what they're like before they appointed them, and it just has a huge, giant impact on society. So these things matter. Do you want a representative that plays chess and is a grand champion? Or do you want some clown that gets drunk and won the backyard ping pong contest in Delray? Yeah, methadone's a regimen, though. It's, again, it would be the same. Sharon, it wouldn't be too bad for you, but if you're a heroin addict and you're trying to get clean and you want to go on methadone, and you live where I live in West Branch, you've got a huge problem. Because it's a daily trip to Saginaw. I mean, when you're not working and your life's chaos and you're trying to get clean, who in the hell can make a 2-hour trip, not counting the time you need to be down there, every day to the methadone clinic? I mean, it's just like psychiatric medications. There's pluses and there's minuses. And if you do your due diligence, the goal here is to have the good outweigh the bad. It's with anything. A marriage, a chicken pot pie, drug use, alcohol, whatever. I've got a book, another book I haven't read yet, but I'm going to read it. Don't laugh. It's called Drugging the Poor. And I have a hard time not doing this, but I've kind of flipped through it a few times. And boy, I'll tell you, man, for what I've read, I believe it. If you look at what's marketed to, like, the lower socioeconomic areas, cheap beer, cigarettes, alcohol. I mean, look at the state of things now. You know, everything sucks. Museums are shut down. You can't go to a theater. You can't do indoor dining. But you know where you can go? You can go to buy your liquor, lottery tickets, and cigarettes. And I think the reason they're not shut down, it certainly isn't because people don't rub elbow to elbow standing in lines, because there'd be a damn riot if they did. If you shut down party stores and cigarettes and liquor sales and lotto, you'd have a damn civil war on your hands. And that's what they don't want. You can make up all the excuses of war, but that's just over the line. You can't get something to eat after 8. You can't go see a movie. You can't putt-putt golf. But you can get a bottle of booze, get a pack of cigarettes, and spin the old wheel on the lotto. Speaking of spinning the wheel on the lotto, now these are national lotteries, the Mega Millions and the Powerball. Check out the jackpots; they're like 250 million. Get one ticket. Get one ticket. You know, and this will take a while to explain, but trust me on this one. You know, when you're a little kid and someone says, "Trust me, you can get on my back and we're going to go in the deep end of the swimming pool," kind of like that. Buy one ticket. Buying lottery tickets, it's not considered gambling. It's considered a game of chance, which is entirely different. Somebody's got to win the damn thing. It might as well be you. Somebody says, well, the odds aren't good. Yeah, no shit. You can win $250 million for a $2 bet. How could the odds be anything other? Yeah. What do you got to pick up? I guess you can take in bottles now. I saw somebody doing it in Walmart yesterday. If for all you Christians out there, this could be God coming through me to speak to you that you need to go out and buy a lottery ticket today. There's one tonight and one tomorrow, Tuesday and Wednesday. Either one. Mega Millions or Powerball. Wouldn't that be something, Andre? Yeah. That'd be great. If I win the Mega Millions of the Powerball, I'm going to get a hair transplant. I've already decided I'm going to be a blonde. Oh, good, Rachel. Can't win if you don't play. That's true. Yeah. And if you're a Christian, if you read in the Bible, you know, they cast lots in the Bible all over the place, which is a form of betting. So drop that one as a reason not to buy a lottery ticket. It's a game of chance. It's not gambling. And even if it was, it's just like water into wine. You know, Jesus didn't turn water into Diet Coke. Turned it into wine. Get over it. That's going to be next week's medical discussion, alcohol. This is my opinion. I drink it. You get lobbying interests that talk about antioxidants, let's say in red wine, and it's good for you, and as long as you don't do it in excess, blah, blah, blah. I was reading a book on addiction last night. It was actually one of those special magazines. I just bought it the other day. I was picking up a couple magazines for a buddy of mine that got COVID. And this said, and I looked at their sources too, that adult females, moderate drinking is not much alcohol at all. Look at the definition of moderate drinking. That females, as they age, now presumably this is 18 and older, that drink alcohol moderately. I'm not talking about a stone cold alcoholic that's tanked every night. Moderately is not much. It's like a glass and a half of alcohol, beer. It's crazy. Have a 500-time chance of getting neck and head cancer if they're drinkers as opposed to people that don't. Bottom line is, I've read a shit ton of stuff on this. Overall, you're better off not drinking at all. I don't care. You show me something that'll refute that. Overall, you're better not drinking at all. When you consider the positives and the negatives and the statistics out there, you're better off skipping the whole damn deal. Yeah, good vibe about playing the lotto. You know, it's funny. played that Irish sweepstakes when I was a kid. God, I was just a kid. I remember talking about those. They had like Lucky Charms on the paper. I forgot how she even got them, but she would get a hold of them sometimes. Yeah, I couldn't believe it, Andre. I could not believe it. Now, when somebody starts talking this kind of bullshit to me, the first thing I say, first of all, I believe in science. It's not perfect. Look at Fen. Although the people did lose weight, some other people had heart attacks. Look, man, everybody wants to assassinate a mistake that happens from time to time. It's the way it goes. Overall, people are living longer now than they ever have. You know why? Because of medicine. If somebody mentions to me they want everything natural, right away I default to low IQ. Another interesting article I read the other night was these crazies, these doomsday preppers, and this government conspiracy. Same thing. I block or ban anybody that starts talking about COVID being a bunch of bullshit. I don't want to hear that some idiot talk about this. First of all, they can never cite any sources. Secondly, they're not an epidemiologist. And thirdly, all these people that, have a grudge against the government, that think COVID's a conspiracy, all this kind of bullshit, they're all a little off. It's just the way it is. But back to what I was going to say. When somebody starts talking about these facts and figures, I want to see some damn evidence. I don't want a guy with a piece of straw sticking out of his ass and a catfish flopping on the end of a bamboo pole in Louisiana spouting off stuff where he doesn't know what he's talking about. I want to see some studies. Where did you come up with this horse shit? If you ever notice these crazies that come on and start talking about COVID, the minute I ask them what their qualifications are or where they get their information, silence. Because they're just talking shit. Would you rather go to an expert in the field of cancer, or would you rather talk to Billy Bob in Southeast Kentucky about the likelihood of survival for the type cancer you just got diagnosed with? Yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer. Yeah, when I was a junior in high school, a lady won $1 million where I lived. $50,000 a year for 20 years. Shit, now you still need to keep working. Can you believe that shit? Yeah. Poor man's tax. That's no shit. That's a good way of putting it. The lottery is the poor man's tax. Oh yeah, that's it, Clee. That's it. Yeah, you're right. That's no shit, the poor man's tax. But I was talking earlier about this book that I've skimmed through. Yeah, drugging the poor. That's no shit, man. How many heroin addicts do you see nodding out in the front of Harvard, Yale, Princeton, or Stanford? None. Why? Because they're smart and they've got a future. That's why. They know the risks of drugs and they know where it's going to take them. So, the way you think is the way your life is going to turn out. There's no way around it. When you've got something to lose and you know you have a promising future, how many heroin addict pro football players do you see? None. Why? Because they're all making $5, $10, $15, $35 million a year. What in God's name would you want to do with heroin making that kind of money? They're successful. They want to keep it that way. Oh, no kidding, Yoda. Wow. Raw meat, if you're getting it from a good source, like kibbe is an example. Kibbe. It's raw lamb. You can get it at those Middle Eastern markets, mainly Lebanese. Hey, Robert, how you doing? Oh, I know hair transplants, super expensive, but they've come a long way. You look at Ben Affleck, Justin Timberlake, John Travolta. They've come a long way. Even Elton John. Christ, he used to look like he had Chucky's hair, that murdering doll. And now even his hair looks pretty good. They finally got that stuff down. I don't know if I ever told you this or not, but one time I took this girl up to Mackinac Island. And it was right after I moved to Chicago. And I borrowed a buddy of mine's airplane. So we get up there and, you take the horse and buggy everywhere, no cars. So we get on the horse and buggy, and it's taking us back to the airport. So we're bullshitting with these people, and it turns out this guy there's like a whole bunch of these people. This guy, and we're talking, and where are you going? They're going back to Florida, and what do you have? He had a King Air C-90. And as we're talking, I knew he was a doctor, but I didn't know what kind. I didn't give a shit. Well, we got to the airport, and we were calling flight service to get the weather, and we were kind of bullshitting. I was talking to this guy how much time he had in this King Air and that kind of thing, and he was telling me where they were going, down to Boca, which was south of where I lived in West Palm Beach. No big deal. And we were both it's an uncontrolled field. You just announce your position. We're taxiing out, and we were kind of there at the same time. I said, well, why don't you go ahead of me? And he said, okay, and he talked. And actually, they took off, and then I took off, and we talked in the air for about probably 15 minutes. He was going to get fuel in Pontiac, Michigan, which was a short trip in a turboprop. That was the end of the deal. Nothing happened. About 3 days later, I had a buddy of mine call me because he knew I had a place down in West Palm Beach, and he said, hey, they had a King Air, it was a C-90, crash, and everybody got killed. I said, oh, no kidding. He said, yeah. I didn't think too much about it. And he said, yeah, it had run out of fuel. So I didn't think too much about it. About a month later, somebody called me and said, you were talking about that guy, you were talking to the pilot, and they were in a King Air up in Mackinac Island. I said, yeah. He said, that's the plane that crashed. I said, you gotta be shitting me. So anyway, I looked up the article. I followed the whole thing from the beginning to the end. Bottom line is, this was a hair doctor, a hair transplant surgeon, and he was banging his young secretary. I thought it was a little odd that, this guy was holding hands with this young, cute chick. I figured it was some deal like that. And I remember the pilot telling me, when we were sitting there talking, that this doctor was a pain in the fucking ass. He had a student pilot's license, and he always wanted to ride up front. And the guy said, I wish you'd just get in the back with everybody else. Well, somebody had to sit in the front, because it turns out they crammed as many people they could in this airplane. But I remember him telling me that. So anyway, what happened, they took off, they went to Pontiac, they loaded up with fuel, and took off and tried to make it all the way to Boca Raton. If you did the calculations, it's not happening, especially when you're overweight. What I think happened, this happens to a lot of people. You go up to a place like Mackinac Island, you rent a bike and you pedal around the thing. And even if you don't rent a bike, you walk your ass off. You're walking downtown, uptown, walking around horse stables, Grand Hotel, all this bullshit. I'll bet you money that once they got out of Pontiac and they were flying down, I'm pretty sure they fell asleep while they were flying. It's quiet, it's warm. And when the pilot woke up, I think he realized he declared an emergency. Rather than trying to get all the way to Boca, he wanted to land at West Palm Beach. Long story short, ran out of fuel and ended up clipping the corner of a pool storage place where they kept pool supplies. Plane flipped upside down. It killed every one of them. All the employees, the mistress, the pilot, and the doctor. It's like 13 of them in there. Nuts. Let's go. You never know when your time's up. Yeah, isn't that crazy? Yeah, you can look it up. That would have been the fall of 1998. It's a King Air. Isn't that nuts? Killed all of them. They were having such a good time. As it turns out, he took them up there as a Labor Day bonus for doing such a good guy. He owned hair clinics in Manalapan, Palm Beach, and West Palm Beach, Florida. Hair transplants surgeon, which is kind of odd because I thought he had the craziest looking hair I've ever seen in my life. I wouldn't have given you $5 for a whole head of it. And here he did that for a living. I don't know how you sell people on hair transplants and you show up with a head of hair like that. It's weird. Not crazy? Yeah. And after they went and did, the reverse analysis, I mean, as it turned out, they were overweight. They did everything wrong. You couldn't have done one more thing wrong to end up wiping yourself and your whole office staff and your mistress. Yep. The guy's wife wasn't with him, of course, so I don't know how that ever turned out. I was actually in Teterboro, New Jersey one time because it was foggy, waiting for the fog to clear, and John was in there with another guy. I talked to him for about 15 minutes. That would have been in the 80s. Nice guy. Yes. That's exactly the name. Yes. Yup. How do you know that? Did you just look it up? Yeah, that's it, Jeff. That's exactly right. Yeah. Only reason that jogged my memory is because Constantine. Yeah, that's right. I do remember reading later on that there was a lawsuit the wife had against something. I forgot what it was. Maybe it was the employees suing the doctor's insurance carrier. Policy limits are pretty low on airplane crashes. 1999 is right. Yeah, 1999. Yeah, I moved in the spring of 98, and it would have been the fall of 99. That's right. No, that's okay. Go ahead, Neff. No problem. Yeah, no shit, man. That's not the first time. I've been to other places where the pilots got killed, and I just got done talking to them. Within like a week or so. Yeah, Dr. Constantine. Hey, do you have any other information on that Constancy Chambers? I remember a bunch of young, good-looking office staff he had with him. Do you have any more info on that? I only followed pretty much what I could get off the Palm Beach Post. And I followed all the NTSB crash reports and post-investigation. But I'd be interested in reading that if you have any of those or you know where I could go to get them. No, not at all. No, I remember thinking it was kind of strange that the pilot had all this turbine time. He was out of Tampa, actually. He was a contract pilot. He had all this turbine time, and I thought, why is this guy, doing this bullshit flying with all this experience? That's right, Nita. Yeah, yep, Tampa, yeah, that's right. Yep, that's right, Carl. Good job there. No, that Leonard Skinner crash, that's so unfortunate. Yeah, good job there, Jim. Great job. And he had a big, huge house in Manalapan, but I forgot what the interest was in the lawsuit the wife filed. Hey, Dad. Oh, thank you, Nita. You're going to go to heaven. But it was funny. I remember the pilot telling me that, he just wanted to get up there and fly the plane. And I remember the doctor told me that his wife didn't want him getting a license, which is why he only had a student pilot license, because she didn't really want him flying. She worried for his safety. Yeah, killed every damn one of them. I mean, the unfortunate thing about that is, it sounds crazy, but if you work it right and you have the appropriate place to land, that means like not taking the wings off by hitting telephone poles, you can pull that off. They were actually home free. Whatever woke him up about 10 seconds too late. If he'd have had a little more time, he could have done a dead stick landing. The landing gear just caught the corner of that building, or they'd all probably made it. No fire, and they all died. It's crazy. Yeah, 1999, that's right, yeah. Here I am just putzing along in my 172. Still alive. What's the moral of the story? Accept your male pattern baldness. Don't compare us to Dr. Phil. Oh, Tampa Bay Times. Okay, because I never read the Tampa version. Yeah, send that to me, will you? Email it to me. Yeah. I mean, you look at all the young lives lost. They were having the time of their life, too. They were all excited, and they're in this private plane and going around having fun at Mackinac Island. Yep. Jim, did it say how old the doctor was? He looked like he was probably in his 50s. He'd probably be fishing off his dock of his $8 million home right now. Note to self, if you're going to fool around on your wife, don't do it in an airplane that runs out of fuel. Oh, okay, 64, okay. Don't cheat, that's right. I do want a microscope for Christmas. A butt lift? Hey, now, the Bible talks about that, Nita. That's vanity. It's just like breast augmentation. God gave you the body he thought you should have, now live with it. Yeah, Jim's pretty good, isn't he? You just start typing, Nicole. Just type like you just did right now. Yeah, good job, Jim. Old Dr. Constantine. What do you mean tag, Nicole? Hey, Penny. Yeah, good hair. My dad had hair like George Hamilton up until the day he died, which was in his 80s. Didn't recede, nothing. That rotten bastard told me when I was a junior in high school, he said, you're going to be combing your hair with a washcloth by the time you're 25. Oh, good for you, Michelle. You like that, huh? Oh, good for you, Penny. Yeah, Jim Jones. I would have liked to hung around with that guy at singles bars. Imagine the action he could have cooked up for you. You can get people to put on tennis shoes and drink red Kool-Aid that you know that's poison. I bet he was a master in the bar scene. I think Michael Jackson was a good guy, good person. They tried to frame him, trying to turn him into a pedophile, which was bullshit. The system worked that time. I think he was a little strange. I think he was like but I don't think he was a pedophile. And there was, if you read the transcripts of the testimony, both times they tried to frame that poor bastard, there wasn't any indication at all of any sex or weird perverted shit. Nothing. Zero zip. One kid testified he saw his balls one time when he did a somersault. Well, that's not pedophilia. I'm glad he was exonerated on that. Just too bad he had a crazy dad and a dysfunctional management. Hey, Carlos. Yeah, I think he was a good guy, though. Good, kind, decent person. You know, once you get famous like that, you don't know up from down. You got every, like, charming con artist doing your books, telling you you're great, getting you all these prescriptions. Look at Prince, for God's sakes. Who in the hell would have ever thought that Prince would have died from counterfeit Vicodin? It was actually fentanyl. Yeah, it's just mind-boggling. Tom Petty, too. Seymour Hoffman. Yeah, it's a BE 90, yep. Yeah, I think Michael Jackson was a good guy. Oh, that's no problem, Deva. I didn't even see what you said. No, I mean, it may not be real now, but it was real for a long time. Never talked to Chelsea again. Nope. Somebody told me she was up around 12 in Telegraph. I went up there. Have not heard from her. Now, I haven't been to Detroit in a while. Maybe she's back where I initially interviewed her. I'm not sure. Yeah, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, that was too bad, man. Really unfortunate. Hey, Dan. Oh, Croatia. Are you a Crow Cop MMA fan? I hope that guy doesn't fight anymore. You know, there's a shelf life on a body, and particularly as a fighter, and he's taking too much punishment. Yeah, I think he's a good guy. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, Croatia. Hey. Yep. Hey, Rising Sun. How you doing? Yeah, I like boxing, MMA. MMA is really heading south. Do you see where they're cutting 60 fighters, cutting their contracts? What he's trying to do is keep it fresh. Which I don't blame him. I mean, obviously, Dana White is a pretty good businessman. Those Fratello brothers, or Fertitta, or whatever their name is, they used to own those station casinos in Las Vegas. I don't know if they own them anymore. I stayed at one time. Nice. I knew that was going to be a joke, the Roy Jones-Tyson fight. That's a perfect example of Tom Brady's going through that right now. Romero's too old. He's lost 4 of his last 5 fights. And he's over 40. I mean, why would you want him around? You know, I mentioned this before, too. A lot of stuff is predicated on focus groups. I don't know why, and not that it has anything to do with anything, but it seemed like the guys that I knew in focus groups were all gay, and they all lived in Chicago, and they all were rich as hell. They made a ton of money. What a focus group is, this is for anything. Toothpaste, cars, perception, whatever. All business depends on focus groups. And if you're unfamiliar with that, it's all cash payments. They're probably paying $200 cash now. So what happens is, you'll be in a downtown area going to a health club like I did. A lot of people there. And you'll have one of these focus group guys. You'll get to know them through working out or whatever. And he'll say, hey, we've got a focus thing coming up today. $200 cash for about a half hour of your time. Would you mind doing it? It's like, no, I don't mind doing it. I go over there, and then I go over to California Pizza Kitchen and get a pizza. So you go over there, and there's like 13 of you there. And sitting at a table. and they give you this questionnaire on anything. It could be floss, it could be tires, it could be the latest movie you've just seen. You may watch a clip of a movie. You may be shown some photos of a new pair of jeans. Anything you can think of. This is what a focus group is. And over this 20-minute period, they will give you this money to give your honest opinion of how you perceive it. And that data gets crunched down into a report and forwarded to the company that hired them. And it wouldn't surprise me at all that the UFC is doing this. So what they do is they get a bunch of people. Do you like MMA? Yeah, okay. You want the $200 for 20 minutes? I do. They hand you these questionnaires, and they realize that the possibility of any good revenue down the road is over for Romero. People don't want to watch him anymore. They don't care why. They're just looking at the boxes that you've checked off on who interests you and who doesn't, who you want to see fight. And if you look at the UFC, they're more interesting, and they don't care about win and loss records. It's not like the old days. They're more interested in who sells. And Yoel Romero doesn't really sell that great anymore. He's old, he's lost 4 to 5 fights, and he can't speak English, which, by the way, is a huge problem for North American marketability. Yeah, if you can't speak English, man, you've just chipped off a huge number of potential dollars. All this stuff matters. What you look like, what your record is, sorta, and you got to be able to communicate. Anderson Silva, too, another old man that just got he lost to Uriah Hall, for God's sakes. Guy's only got one decent move, a spinning back kick. Yeah. So they're on this stuff. That's why you go into the supermarket. Remember back in the old days, you go in there, you wanted popcorn, there'd be 2 kinds, Jiffy Pop and Orville Redenbachers. Well, as time went on and these focus groups are doing, they're asking, what do you want out of your popcorn? Well, I want Cajun, I want olive oil, I want, colored kernels. Well, now look, I think you can get goldfish in about 9 different flavors? All focus groups. They're just not making this shit and hope it sells. They got a pretty good idea of what people are thinking before they ever put the first bag on a shelf. I never knew that either till I moved to Chicago. Yeah. Hey, Loyal, how you doing? No, it was Constantine something. Constantine Chambers, Dr. Constantine Chambers. Yeah. I give the guy credit, though, because ironically, in the horse and buggy wagon, he sat right next to me. He didn't try to hit me up for a hair transplant, which I could have used. He didn't say, hey, here's a card, you may be interested in, have my services. Didn't say a word. Poor guy. I could have traded him a parachute. Hey, Lana. Yeah, Monster drink. Yep. I'm sure I didn't know about the signal thing. Oh, about a little baby sleeping. Oh, that's my baby sleeping in there, in her little bed. That's a good girl, huh? Yeah. Hey, 82, how you doing? Yeah, my green slime, my tire didn't work so good. Still low. Not as low, but low enough to destroy my gas mileage. That's coming, yeah, probably coming, yeah. Yeah, it was a different doctor, that's right, yep. Yeah, I would have traded my parachute for a hair transplant. He would have said, what do I need a parachute for? Well, you wait about 3 hours from now, you'll know what you need it for. Take my word for it, you're going to need one. Oh, good for you, Virgil. Yeah, he'd probably looked at me like, well, I don't need this parachute. It's like, doctor, you do need it. You do need this parachute, and so does everybody else, but I only have one, and I'd like a full head of hair promised to me. When those engines go silent, get the hell out of there. You stand a chance. You know, it sounds nuts, but you would stand a chance. Although the King Air, that BE-90, you'd have a hell of a time. I'm not so sure. That door comes off from the side. I think when everybody started screaming and bitching, what in the hell are you doing? You may not get the door all the way open because the top comes up and then you drop the stairs down. I don't even know if it allows you to open that in flight. Although as far as the sensors go, if you ran out of fuel, you would think that it would sense that this airplane isn't running, we're on the ground, therefore you can open the door. I'm not really sure, but it wouldn't be the easiest plane in the world to get out of. The good news is you wouldn't need to worry about jumping into the prop, because a prop, it could have been windmilling, but maybe not. I got an idea in those final seconds when he woke up and ran out of fuel, unless he had an auto feather on that the props were the last thing on his mind. That's a good question, though, actually. I forget that in the accident report. Big difference between a feathered prop and a non-feathered prop. Huge. That's also why a lot of single-engine pilots kill themselves when their engine quits running, because all the simulated off-airport landings are with the propeller windmilling. It's still going around. It's not producing power, but a windmilling propeller is a hell of a lot different than one that stays flat and isn't turning. Might as well have a sheet of plywood on the front. It kills your gliding. Yes, not really. Yeah, I'm in Michigan, Virgil. How you doing? That's my Daisy girl. Daisy's sleeping today. She's got a lot on her mind. She got... Lord. That cop right there is actually a pretty nice cop. He just got married to a trooper here. His dad's a judge. He sees me with Daisy on my lap constantly. Never pulled over, never a ticket, nothing. Why? Because there's nothing wrong with it. That's why. Hey, Cynthia. It's just not practical to have ejection seats. It's really not. There'd be total chaos. There's not that many planes it's easy to get out of, unless you're DB Cooper, and even I don't think it worked out too well for him. They have a big party for him every year out west, DB Cooper. Yeah, well, the Zero monsters, caloric-wise, you're right. But there's some pretty good data out there on, blood pressure and energy drinks that is not favorable. And they dehydrate you. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, she was a puppy when my neighbor got her, but I used to take her to the vet and give her baths and stuff like that. She was about 6 months old. And then she had her for a year. So I didn't get Daisy, even though I messed around with her all the time, till about a year after she did. You gotta be kidding me, Loyal. All right, Don. You have a good day today. Yeah, she needs a haircut. I gotta trim her hair down a little bit. Yeah, that'll catch up to you, Loyal. I don't know if you know this or not, but it's very hard on your kidneys. You're gonna have kidney problems if you keep that up. I promise you. I swear to God, research it yourself. Do not be drinking that many energy drinks and not drinking water. Your kidneys, it's working the hell out of them. I guarantee this to you. Just try water under different scenarios, like ice, cubed, cold, warm, flavored. That'll catch up to you. Yeah, she's a good girl. Yeah, fight or flight. Yep, that's true. I think I have that fight or flight when my computer's not working. I go absolutely batshit crazy. Pisses me off. That or if I think I deleted a movie clip or something. Yeah, it's true, Cynthia. Yeah, you're right. But I mean, even if you don't have kidney disease, to drink that amount of energy drinks and not drink water too, your kidneys are working overtime. I promise you. Yeah, there's nothing worse than in the midst of trying to get something done. I've got a Canon printer, and it's this wireless bullshit. What a pain in the ass. Every time somebody says, "Could you scan something?" I just cringe because it always is predicated on if this piece of shit is working or not. Yeah, I can scan it if everything's going fine, but if it's not, I don't want to take 45 minutes to try and connect this Wi-Fi signal to this printer that's 3 feet away. I'd rather plug in a cord. Yeah, that's how I am, Jim. Yeah. Yep. It's true. Yeah, well, I'm not saying stop drinking them, but I'm saying supplement it with water. I promise you, man, if your kidneys could talk, they would be screaming in your ear right now. Big time. I think you'll feel better, too. I do. I mean, it's hard to feel much better than after a can and 8 energy drinks in a row, but you'll see what I mean. All right, Graphic. Yeah, have a good day down there today. Yeah. I think I'm going to sign off, too. I got to get some, what else, air in my tire. And then I'm going to, I think I'm going to go down on the other side of the river and see what's going on down there in Beaverton. What it looks like down there. Hey, Boydmore, how you doing? Yeah, I drink it when I get it. That's the way to do. That's smart, Virgil. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a big pot. I get Diet Cokes. All right, Loyal. If I get something like, if I have something that really tastes good, like let's say a good fish dinner, deep fried, or a good fries, or like when I go to Cobra's, their pop is a ripoff. They charge you like $2.50 for this bullshit pop. But it tastes so good with a Culver's double cheeseburger that I just do it anyway. There's nothing like a good carbonated diet pop and some good fries and a hamburger or a pizza or whatever. Just tastes so much better. It's a better experience. You too, Dan. All right, Indy. Yeah, you too. You too, AJ. I see you, Sharon. Yeah, I wish it wasn't true. You too, Lana. Keep an eye on Taylor for me. Go tell that cop out in Gardner White, quit ruining people's insurance rates. You too, Michelle. See you, Cynthia. See you, Perfect Shabby. All right, you too, Patricia. Yep, Claudia. Yep, take care. Oh, you're welcome, Patricia. All right, Andre. Yep. Thanks for watching. Thank you. See you, Cynthia. See you, 82. Yep, bye, Virgil. Daisy's in deep sleep. Yep, all right, take it easy, guys. Have a good day.